So now we're going to move into really the different sections. We're going to talk about what elements make a successful agency. And before we get too far in here, let's go ahead. I'm going to just pause real quickly and see if there's any questions here. Hey, Nick, what's going on? Thanks for joining, man. And again, I apologize for the constant coughing. That is living in the South with allergies for you. Okay, so yeah, any questions? So Stephen DeVito asks, is there an additional license to have in an agency? No, not really. Now, if you're incorporated and you have some sort of LLC or something like that, yes, you do have to get your corporation licensed if you run through your agency. But in my agency, I've always had an LLC, but I expense through it. It's not, there's not a license with the LLC. Everybody gets appointed to me directly. So, and I don't have anything different. So you don't really need anything. If you don't want to, you can keep this very simple. In fact, it's another attempt here at trying to keep this process easy to understand and implement, is to keep things simple. You can greatly increase the complexity of agency building with otherwise unimportant minutia. You want to keep the main thing the main thing. And we'll talk about that more important because that's an important concept to understand. Okay. So back to the presentation here. So elements of a successful agency. So the first thing here is an absolute focus on one thing. Again, much of my discussion here will greatly mirror my discussion with how to create successful agents. Ask yourself this. If you're new to the business and you've seen successful agents, or perhaps you're watching this and you're a successful agent yourself, who are the most successful agents that you see? What characteristics do they have? I would wager that the most successful agents sell one product. They are focused like a laser beam on being the best at one particular marketplace. It could be market, or one particular product. Perfect example. I work predominantly in the final expense business. For years, my primary and exclusive focus was on agents who want to sell and succeed at selling final expense. So when you have a focus on one thing, it allows you to become an expert at it. Okay? It allows you to develop some sort of authority around that expertise too. And you're taken a lot more seriously than, let's say, the PNC shop down the road that also offers life insurance. And the question becomes, well, who's going to offer the best training? Who's going to offer the best results? Who's going to have the best setup to be successful, to help me be successful as a new agent? Well, more likely than not, if your emphasis or interest is in final expense, working with the agent that understands final expense, or the agency that understands final expense, is going to be a much better experience than the one who is in PNC predominantly in final expense as a secondary item. So make sure that you really understand, as you develop and think through on building your agency, what product or what market do you want to represent? For me, like I said, for the longest time, it was final expense. For other organizations that are super successful, I'll give you a perfect example. There's a company called J.D. Mellberg and Associates. They do a ton of annuity. That's all they do. They have a well-defined agency design. My understanding is they take agents on who want to do free leads or want to sell annuities, and they just offer them free leads for a substantial cut of the commission. That's all they do. Look at Allentown. Allentown is a longtime authority in the final expense business. All this guy does, I'm sure he gets some business, but all he talks about is final expense, specifically Columbian Life, but does other business as well. And he's a multimillionaire because of it. And he's developed a lot of relationships with businesses that replicate themselves in the same way. And you can see this repetitively time and time again. Whereas if you see generalist agencies, you really don't see a lot of them that have an enormous amount of pull, an enormous amount of production. And that's because they just don't know and can't define themselves very well. And you don't want to fall into that mindset when you recruit and build an agency. You may have one person do this, have someone do that. Especially in the beginning, you need to focus on a core activity. Again, if you look at Amazon, Amazon was not a mass market retailer at first. Amazon was what? It was a bookseller, right? Same thing with Google. It was a search engine machine. Now it's Alphabet, and they've got all these different business models that they do, YouTube, AdWords, so on and so forth. So pick a focus and be the master of it. The other thing that I think is really important in a successful agency is a culture of success, or any kind of, I'm going to say that any kind of culture is good. It's just a culture that's built upon something that the market values. In this case, success, a culture of transparency, a culture of support. You need to stand for something when you recruit and build an agency. And in my business, as I've recruited agents, I have always taken the stand that I have a culture of transparency and passionate desire to help my agents. I may not have said it like that, but it hopefully comes out in the content that I produce. I give so much away for free that people walk away thinking, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about, and that's somebody I can trust. Some of them will say, that's somebody I want to trust and build my business with. And that's exactly what I want to do, because I'm, first of all, committed to doing that. Second of all, that's what I intend to have happen, is because we want to associate with people who, a lot of people want to associate with people who have that type of mentality. There's other ways to build cultures of success, or cultures in your agency. I was going to actually pull up an example here for you. I've been watching these guys a long time. I think they do a fantastic job. Let me see if I can pull this up and show you where I'm looking at here. So this is, if you want to go check this out with me, I am on, if you do a Facebook search for Paramount Benefits Group, this is a group that's been around for a couple of years, and I've been wholly impressed with the amount of top producers that they've been able to pick up that really have come out of the business or come into the business with no prior experience. I have a friendship with one particular gentleman, Stephen Young, and Stanley Young. Sorry, Stanley. And he's a guy that's written $250,000 plus in business. He writes 5,000 plus in business a week on average, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of people like him that are writing that much, if not more. And if you look through their page, as I would recommend, you'll see a lot of examples of where the agency smartly promotes how their producers do. For example, here's Zach McKenzie writing a lot of business, congratulating them. Again, culture of success and appreciation. There's a lot of talk about motivational subjects, but a lot of talk about the producers and how well they do. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but a lot of time spending with top producers, thanking them, really recognizing their achievement and not making it something that's not known. And people like that. I mean, most agents are to some extent motivated by money. We all are to a certain extent, of course. But there's a lot of agents that are motivated by other things, such as recognition, achievements, things like that. And a good agent will build an agency around that concept. This is something that in my agency, I have built to a certain extent. My culture, like I said earlier, was built around just information, education, and giving. I have a culture of giving really in my agency. What I haven't done, and really until lately, over the past maybe 2 months or so, is use Facebook and other medium to really show the success that my agents have, just because I'm just not someone that's extremely self-promotional. I've had to kind of get over it. I think it's important to, because you have to share with people what people are doing in your business and how they're successful. Because as you'll get into the recruitment side of things, people are doubting Thomases, as they should be. And there are many people who will watch you as you announce your entry into building an agency and watch you from a distance that would be mildly interested, but maybe thinking, well, we'll just kind of see what happens here. So you need to fill the gap with the evidence that this agency you have actually changes lives. And it takes it to something more than just a contract mill and turns it into something where people can achieve a greater image of themselves, something better than just a base level job. They have a career. It grants them a lifestyle. It gives them achievement, a sense of purpose. And again, good agencies that build this build a great culture. People don't leave them as often. There's camaraderie built with the agents between each other. People are competitive in a good way. That drives more production. It gets more out of people, and it improves the recruiting process because you are a place that people want to go because people see that you're successful. Other people are successful, and people are having a good time doing it, which is what we all want out of our career, many of us at least. All right, let's keep going. All right, simple systems with clear objectives. So again, this kind of goes back to focusing on one thing. You want to have a simple process to get agents started, get agents up and running, and get agents out the door. You don't want to, when you build an agency, is to rep a product that's complicated to understand or very hard to master or get. You're going to have some level of difficulty in recruiting, retaining, and building an agency that's successful. So you want to be able to coherently explain to your agent recruits how getting into this system is simple. You get licensed. If you're not, you learn a simple script, and you go help basic people. That's how we teach how to do final expense. It's a simple process, and that's why you see a lot of the bigger agencies, they focus on one simple mass-marketed product. I like those as being a great way to get involved in this business from the start. So like final expense, it's a great way as an agency to get up and running because it's such a simple product. Also, mortgage protection. That's why I see a lot of multi-level marketers push mortgage protection because it's a simple product. It's not hard to understand. It's mass marketable on a recruitment basis and really on a prospect basis. And then you also have Medicare. Medicare products is another, even though it's a little more technical, it's something that you can recruit to. It's a mass market product, more or less simple to understand. So I think clear objectives as far as I like one call close systems. I like simple systems for marketing purposes, lead generation, that kind of thing. These are all things that I think the multi-million-dollar agencies all share. It's just simple systems to do things. Personal development and action orientation. Again, it goes back to the culture of success. You want to show and have an agency built on not just a job, but a way to develop yourself professionally. Again, if you go back and look at Paramount Benefits, look at a lot of other successful agencies, there's just not talk about, the product or just a job. It's not just we're hiring. It's motivational stuff, sharing motivation, showing success, helping out when people ask, having this entire culture around helping people achieve greatness, achieve greater things in their career. And again, when you publicly do this and promote this in a way that's not annoying, of course, you develop this persona or you develop this reputation that people who work for you and go to work for your agency are going to see results that are wonderful. And again, more than just the job, I think that's clear. So let me take just a quick second here, guys, and see if there's any questions from anybody at all. Hey, Rebecca, thanks for joining. Salutations to you too. Let's see here. David Smith says, I thought an agency needed to be registered with each state's insurance director. All you have to do is just get a non-resident license in most cases. So what will happen is, let's say you live in Arizona and you recruit an agent in New Mexico who's going to sell in New Mexico. In some cases, you don't even need a non-resident license. It just depends if the state or the company requires it. There are states I recruit guys into that I don't have a license in. And it's not that I'm doing anything nefarious. It's just not required by the state or by the company. I don't know which it is. It's probably a state level thing. to receive overrides, but some will require them, and so you got to pick up a non-resident license, but that's the extent of it. Now, if you go into and you develop an agency, you license your agency, you run things through your agency as a licensed insurance entity, then yes, you'll have to get the equivalent. Are you an insurance agent who is interested in building your own agency? If that's the case, then beware. There are so many opportunities, quote, opportunities, out there for agents to level up their game and build their agency that put all sorts of contingencies and stopgap measures to prevent you from actually owning your agency and maximizing your commission. I put together a new program for those agents who are interested in creating their own agency. It doesn't matter what product you sell, but to give you the knowledge and the pathway to own the entire process of growing your agency and scaling it and making sure that no one, not a single company, person, or upline owns you, where you own the thing outright and you build your agency in your vision only. This program is something you can learn more about very easily if you go to davidduford.com, click at the top that says Join Dave's Agency. You'll see a part there where it says Agency Builder Program, or something like that. Check that out, review it, and then feel free to get back with me if it's something that's interesting to you and useful, especially if you're looking to grow an agency and understand the importance of building an independent way that has no entangling alliances with anyone except the vision that you have. So thanks for watching, and hope to hear from you soon. See you, bye.